So I want you guys to think about like what was your childhood like growing up with your friends, your siblings, I don't know, family friends, childhood friends, whatever, your cousins maybe. Think about how pure and innocent it all was. And I remember very vividly just one of my favorites was always hide and seek, the game hide and seek. We always loved to play that game. It was we could play it in the house. We could play it outside. I thought playing it in the schoolyard was was next level, honestly, because the possibilities were endless to hide, and playing tag, or I remember even playing the James Bond video game Nightfire multiplayer, and we'd have like four controllers, and we'd play against each other and all that stuff, and that was really fun. We'd surprise each other in hiding spots in the game, and we'd obliterate each other but yeah, just think about moments like this, and with those same people. And I don't know if it's the same case for you. I mean, I grew up with these types of people. It's normal to grow up with your sibling. If you're around like some childhood friends, like I was, you kind of see this evolution. Maybe it's the same for you with cousins as well as and at some point it kind of gets to a period where things aren't like how they used to be anymore. We don't really play games anymore. We don't play hide and seek. We don't play tag, and we start talking about our careers. We start talking about like our jobs. How's work. Uh, shit like relationship status and all that stuff, and like where, like how did we go from all that to this now? It's like, we can meet up with these same people that you used to like play with and have fun with, and suddenly the conversations are all about school, jobs, when are you moving out, when are you getting married, and when are you having kids, and all this stuff, this societal expectations, these milestones that we have to hit in order to be, to be accepted and to be integrated. And to be honest, I've always like had this feeling of, are we all doing this just so that we can like fit in, to be in part of the club, and to be part of the conversation? It really does make you realize that a lot of these things, they're, something doesn't feel right about it, and even, and again, a lot of these things just feel like something to do to check off a list. It's like you have a fucking list of all the things you have to do in life to accomplish, and so that the next time you get to meet your old friends, your old family members, so that you can update them on your life and where you are, and stuff like that. And so once you like update them with the things, you can feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing this now. I'm doing this now. And well, guys, I'd like to remind you guys that my sponsorship with Otter Spirit is still going on. There's currently a Black Friday campaign happening right now. It's a 35% off discount code over your order of $99 or more. Like I said in my previous segment, like video, whatever, that like in a world where there is so much fakeness, so much pretending, it's nice to have something on your wrist that has meaning, provides something meaningful, spiritual. But when you browse the website, there are so many different options. You can browse by zodiac sign, you can shop by intention, you can shop by chakra, you can shop by gemstones. Personally, I went with zodiac sign. I'm not a true believer in like, astrology, but I still kind of like, I still like would like to like not identify myself as a Leo, but just to say, oh well, I'm a Leo, so I'm just kind of just like narrowing it down with the filters by by Leo, but But yeah, there's so many different options. There are like packs. You can go for the mini size or the regular size. There's so many different options. But yeah, you can use the link in the description below with the affiliate link. That does help the channel a lot. And you can use my discount code. There's a 20% off discount code, a 30% off discount code, and a 35% discount code for your order of $99 and more. So yeah, thanks again for Otter Spirit for the sponsorship, and let's get back to the video. I've always had the mindset of, like, why do we do this? There's something like this has been happening throughout my entire life, ever since like I graduated from high school. That's when things start changing like real fast, and conversations start looking different. People start asking questions, and things are not really the same. And it's it's just like, exactly, it's like after high school, nothing is the same, and that's when things start like rapidly, like, oh, you have to grow up. And a lot of these things, people will view them, oh well, we grew up. Okay, I understand. Okay, I mean, what, like, who told us to stop playing hide and seek and stuff? Like, I don't really see the problem with, like, people will say, well, yeah, you're just immature, you're just being childish now. But like, really get in touch with yourself. Just for one moment, just get in touch with yourself and just think to yourself, why should we stop playing? Why should we stop? I don't see why, like, things like that, hide and seek and playing games outside is considered to be something childish. And you realize how much a lot of it is because of all these milestones and these things that we have to accomplish. But not only that, but all the things that we have to go through when we grow up, like getting our first job, bills to pay and taxes, and and the more you get into the system like that, the more you kind of lose that part of yourself, the part where you just wanted to simply be and simply play and have fun. And like, why is adulthood, they consider fun and plays to be something immature and childish? I don't understand why it should be that way. And like, for example, at some point in my teenage years, probably like later on, that's when, like, because my in my room I used to have toys everywhere, like a lot of them. And slowly, year by year, you kind of notice that the toys are getting hidden over time, and part of me, like, as much as like most of my toys are hidden, I still have a bit of toys here and there, scattered around my room. I still have some on display on my bookshelf. I even have one right here on my on my desk. I leave a little Batman. I have I have a Captain America from one of those movie theater cups, and Spider-Man. See, like, they're there, but I don't really play with them. I mean, the thing is, like, who said I can't play with them? Like, nobody said that I can't play with these things, but we just kind of think to ourselves that we can't play with them because we're adults, that we're grown-ups. Like, why not play with them at this point? Like, I mean, but that's the thing, because it's not technically like our fault. Like, we kind of just decided, hey, we're not playing with these anymore. But it's the life experience, the things that we have to go through in the system and the society that kind of makes us kind of grow out of these things. But if there was no system and there was no societal pressure and all that stuff to fit in, and all these social norms that we have to follow, I could imagine a world where we'd still just be, we wouldn't be ashamed to just play and have fun. But why is it ashamed for, like, think about how, how most parents are. Most parents are, they're responsible, they're going to work, and, paying the bills, paying the mortgage, and that's not just the parents, but that's the case for a lot of just adults in general too. And a lot of people in this world, they kind of lose touch with their inner child. And I feel like as much as I've gone through some shit, of course, with the 9 to 5 job, and realizing the world for what it is, the system, the society, I still kind of kept my inner child intact. I still believe that my inner child is still there, is still intact, and I am trying my best to keep it that way, and so that I don't completely lose myself to the system. And it also helps the fact that I did, quit my job earlier this year, so that also kind of contributed to it. But even when I was still working, I still had that part of me that was still alive, that inner child that was still there. I was still willing to watch like old movies and from my childhood, feeling nostalgic, revisiting, using my old camera, like my childhood camera, for fun, just to experiment and stuff, or little things like that, and getting in touch with my inner child. And but I think this year, like stepping back from a 9 to 5 job has allowed me to reconnect with that side a lot more. And like, why isn't that such a normal thing? It's kind of, I'll probably get viewed as a loser, and it's a bad thing to do. But hey, I don't fucking care. This is who I am. And like the pressure that we have to just grow up and talk about jobs, talking about relationship status, and first of all, even the thing about relationship status is like, the more and more with this awareness, the more I realize how much this whole relationship thing, a lot of it is just a way to prove that you kind of made it, that you did something with your life, and it's not really about connecting with another human being anymore. It's really about using another person just to fulfill a societal expectation at this point. And just, I mean, that's how I see it anyway. I don't know about you guys, but that's the way I see it. A lot of the times it's just to say, hey, I'm doing something, like, so you can go to that next event, that next like gathering with your old friends, your old family members, and that you can update them that you finally have a partner in your life, and stuff like that. And it's like, so that you can start feeling good about yourself, but there's something so wrong about that. I never like felt comfortable with the idea of that, to just show off that aspect, because it's not genuine, it's not authentic. It's just to prove to other people that you're making it, you're doing it, that you that you, it almost like feels like you're proving to other people that you're owning a person, that you're claiming someone, when shouldn't a connection be about like just to know a person for who they are as a human being, as a full person, and not just as a product, as an object or some sort. Like, I guess it just feels that way to me these days. But if you take the case of like how it's true that biologically we do kind of just grow up in a sense, that we do mature as we age, obviously, but at the same time, there are a lot of the times when people refer to growing up, it's usually something referring to the system. Growing up, like, oh, you have to move out of your parents' house. You have, again, there's nothing wrong with moving out of your parents' house, but it's just the shame that comes with it. That's where it's kind of like the problem. The shame. There's nothing wrong with moving out, again, but it's the shame that comes with it. That's what I mean. That's the thing, because a lot of people shame people for not reaching a certain milestone, and they view these people as not growing up, not being adults, but I feel like these are just things that were made up by the system and society, So when it comes to maturity and when it comes to growing up, I don't think these things are related to maturity. Like I haven't like kind of delved deep into this topic of maturity as much, so I can't really provide any too much insight. But I do know for a fact that I mean, it's kind of obvious, when it comes to all these things like jobs, careers, school grades, I don't view that as being grown up or being mature now. If you're getting into that stuff, oh, let me just talk about the stock market now, also suddenly, so I can seem mature and, oh, talk about finance, talk about money, talk about how much money do you make, like, oh, what do you do for work? What's your position? Like, all this like fucking bull crap of like small talk of like no, none of that feels mature to me. None of that feels like grown up. People will like sit at a dinner table or go to a fucking gathering, a networking gathering, and this is all the conversations that are happening these types of environments. And if I were to just be in a fucking room like that, like I wouldn't even feel like a grown up or that I'm mature. I just feel I just feel like an alien. I just feel like I'm observing a bunch of fucking crazy ass people and that I'm just gonna want to fucking leave at this point. It's just not it for me. I cannot stand being in a room like that. I can't. Because it almost feels like people are just putting on a fucking performance. That's not maturity. That's not being a grown up. It's just a performance. It's all acting. It's all playing a fucking role. And my goal in life is to not play a role, not perform. It's to just be me, just to be authentic and real. Isn't that what life should be about? Just to be fucking real? But the problem is that this system and society, they encourage this, acting grown up, acting mature, talking about jobs and careers and your relationship status and all that bull crap. It's just like it's just not. It doesn't feel real to me. It all feels so superficial, made up crap. But like, it's all things that we end up talking about just to appear mature and adult. But I'd rather just like I'd rather talk about like, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? What do you want to do in life? And when I mean what do you want to do in life, I don't mean career, but just what do you want to do? It could be anything. You could say I want to do photography, I want to travel. That is the type of what do you want to do in life that I'm more interested in a person than, a career or job. What do you do for work? All that stuff, or like what's someone's like favorite movie, what makes them feel emotional, what touches them deeply, or something like that. That is what's interesting about that is the type of mature conversations that I think that are more in a sense grown up than what's your job, what's your status and stuff like that. How many followers do you have on your account or shit like that, and at the same time, people will say, like I said, who are we to say that we can't just, act like children anymore? Like we won't act like 100% like children. We won't have that imagination, obviously, but we can try to like kind of just encourage that little spark, because I know that we have that part of ourselves within us at all times, but some people just bury it deep down so far that they completely lost themselves to the system. And my goal is to really keep that inner child intact as much as possible, as long as possible, and the idea to completely like lose that is just kind of scary. And you see it in so many adults out there, so many people, and they can't even like to them, like thinking about their childhood or looking at pictures and photos is just not a thing to them, because they're so focused on work, so focused on productivity, so focused on, digital numbers and paying bills. And and I understand that that is this type of system that type of shit system that we're living in, and it sucks. But at the same time, just to like I said, we can't really fully escape that system, but we can still like take some time to pull back, just for a little bit. Make some time to just pull back from that just a little bit and just reflect. Reflect on your inner child. What makes you happy? What gives you joy? What makes you feel alive? What things like that. Reflect on your younger self. How were your emotions? How did you feel as a child, before the world told you to, man up and toughen up and be a man, yeah, and all that stuff. And, reflect on that. And I think with that, we can, like, I don't know, it's just something to, I guess it's something to just, to inspire change and hope in a way, and I'm just to deal better with this system. Because we still have to deal with this system. We still have to deal with bills, taxes, and how many fucking digital numbers. That is what's gonna make us lose our inner child just a little bit. But that spark, that there's a sense of wonder, that we still have within us, 100%. It's still there. It just depends on how far you are into the system. How much did you lose yourself into the system? And if we really get in touch with ourselves, I think that'll be really beautiful, actually. By the way, you guys might be wondering why the lighting setup. I found I with my old channel, my other channel, I used to make videos with a softbox light, and I was thinking to myself, like, wait, I like to spice up my life outrage videos just a little bit more. So I dug out my softbox light that I used before, and I decided, hey, I might let me just incorporate it with this. And also, I was just looking at all my videos, and I noticed that whenever I like kind of just watch them just to see what they're like, I feel like they're even though there's a blurry background with my camera lens, part of me my eyes kind of just go towards things in the background either way. So I wanted to kind of have like a little light here that focuses on just me and kind of just darkens the background just a little bit, just to put more emphasis on the message that I'm trying to say. And I hope it's working in a way. I don't know, but let me know in the comments if you guys are enjoying this new lighting setup. But yeah, I'd like to know, any of you guys, if you had any like good childhood memories, something that made you laugh, something that made you happy and cry or feel joy about, something from your childhood that just, just let me know in the comments. I really love to know what's up with you guys. But yeah, let me know in the comments, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.